After the match, Disco is chloroformed and put in a body bag. And as soon as they get to the back, they take him out of the body bag and put him in the trunk of a car and drive off. They couldn't pick which cliche to go with, so they just did both of them.
They did them
Then
all,
Medusa
yeah.
tells Courageous to hit her. He does, and she's all fucked up for a while.
And he didn't pull that punch either.
She's shaking. She doesn't know what to do. Ming kicks the shit out of both of them until Finley knocks Ming out with a lead pipe. That was the only thing that could fucking stop Ming. Ming was like a monster.
And they had weapons, and it was still in his favor for quite a while. Like, two guys with weapons, the odds are fine. I also did like the little touch of Oklahoma having the microphone on. He was like,
great.
I'm gonna show you the Oklahoma stomp. And then he did it. He's like, yeah. So, he is back in turmoil.
Well, if I remember correctly, this leads to Booker becoming G.I. Bro.
I'm not familiar with this Booker.
You're in for a treat. Misfits in action. Booker was the leader. He was G.I. Bro.
Okay.
He kind of reminded me of Carl Weathers in Predator. Miss Elizabeth tries to use the mace on Sting, but it was really silly string. But unfortunately, Sting didn't count on Miss Elizabeth using the bat he handed her before the match.
That mace would have worked out a lot better for him.
Well, moving on, we have our Wrestling Rewind. And this week is WCW Starrcade, 1999. We are in Washington, D.C. There's an opening hype video. It starts with the Revolution and Hacksaw Jim Duggan. I love Duggan, but that's not a good sign for the pay-per-view.
And he's, for some reason, wearing like a janitor suit.
Yeah, it turns out that Hacksaw Jim Duggan is a janitor now, I guess. And he's wrestling the Revolution. He has like 3 mystery partners. And should he beat the Revolution, they have to be the janitors.
Oh, I completely missed that for some reason.
Yeah, and the video just ran down the card, which is probably why you missed it. There wasn't really anything to it. Then we jump to another hype video, and it's Kevin Nash and Psycho Sid. They're fighting over who's going to powerbomb who. And then we have Bret Hart and Goldberg. Hart guarantees he's going to win. Goldberg says, no, you're not. And probably for the first pay-per-view, at least WCW, the commentary team does not warm us up first. But it is Tony Schiavone, Bobby the Brain Heenan, and some dude named Scott Hudson, who I did not care for at one bit.
I kind of liked it. He had like a very old school sound to him. It's
Okay.
kinda, I don't know, it just reminded me of like late 80s, early 90s WCW or something.
They kind of remind me of like the wrestling promotions you see on YouTube where they try too hard to make their voice deep. I'm going to talk like this. Oh, look at that super slam.
I didn't take it as a deep voice. For me, it was just more like an announcer voice.
Well, we start with the Disco Inferno and Lash LaRue versus Johnny the Bull and Big Vito. Johnny and Vito, of course, are the threat that Tony Marinara delivered on. I have no idea how Disco Inferno and Lash LaRue are a team, since the last time we saw LaRue, he slammed Disco on his own title belt. But Disco came out and he gave his cowboy hat to a child, so he thinks he's a fan favorite. Well, I guess he was, but come on. LaRue came out tossing Mardi Gras beads because he's Cajun. And then we were told that Johnny the Bull and Big Vito aren't wrestlers. They were forced into a match because they tried to kill Disco, I guess. But they sure did know a lot of wrestling moves and seemed to have an expert level grasp on how to tag in and out and double team and shit.
Yeah, it's the story.
So the match starts with Vito and LaRue. Vito is probably the only one out of the 4 that actually looks like he could be something. He beats the piss out of LaRue, spits on him, does a Glacier impression. And then Johnny was there so Disco and LaRue could get offense. Big Vito missed a splash after taunting the crowd way too long. And after he misses, he immediately stands up and takes a back bump. Thought that was weird. So LaRue gets in with a hot tag. Everybody starts fighting. Disco tries to hit Vito with a stunner. Vito pushes Disco. And then just as LaRue comes at Vito with a clothesline, Vito ducks it. And LaRue bumps into Disco, whose back is still turned. And Disco hits him with a blind stunner. Then Big Vito hits LaRue with the Impaler DDT, and that's the match. And after the match, Disco is chloroformed and put in a body bag by Johnny and Vito. And as soon as they get to the back, they take him out of the body bag and put him in the trunk of a car and drive off. They couldn't pick which cliche to go with, so they just did both of them.
They did them all, yeah.
I remember liking Vito. If I'm not mistaken, he becomes hardcore champion at some point.
I don't remember. But I did recognize that this is the guy in JCW now, like modern time. So that was something.
So then the commentary talk about Bret Hart versus Goldberg, Psycho Sid versus Kevin Nash. And then we find out that a planned ladder match between Chris Benoit and Scott Hall is canceled. Hall has a knee injury and he cannot compete. Hall is also the U.S. heavyweight champion. So the WCW title committee strips Hall of the title and awards it to Chris Benoit right then and there. Benoit comes out, says titles are meant to be fought over. As far as he's concerned, this title's vacant. Benoit issues an open challenge for anyone in the back to take their shot at WCW glory. They're just going to have to crawl over the crippler to do it. And they're going to learn that silence is violence.
Should have been silence.
But first we have Medusa versus Evan Courageous for the WCW Cruiserweight title. So I guess if I heard correctly, Medusa found Courageous cheating on her. So naturally that gives her a title shot.
I didn't catch how we got to a title match. But yes, Courageous has a new Nitro girl now.
Her name is Spice.
There you go. All I was thinking was, boy, did he downgrade. Go from Medusa to this short-haired freak.
Well, Medusa jumps Evan Courageous as he's making his way to the ring. And then Courageous throws Medusa into the steel steps. And they fight on the floor. Then Medusa tells Courageous to hit her. He does, and she's all fucked up for a while.
And he didn't pull that punch either.
No. She's shaking. She doesn't know what to do. So Courageous hits a power slam. He misses a springboard moonsault. Medusa hits a spin kick, then goes to deliver a drop kick. Then she goes up to the top for another drop kick, and Courageous gets up and tosses her off the top rope like she's Ric Flair. Then he does a sit-down powerbomb and a fancy pin, which Medusa kicks out of, which makes him look like a pussy, if I'm being honest. Then Medusa gives Courageous an ugly as fuck powerbomb. And then Courageous knocks Medusa out of the ring, climbs up on the top rope, hits her with a splash. And then Spice starts distracting Courageous. And I'm thinking the whole time, she's going to kick him in the balls. And sure enough, she nails him right in the balls. And Medusa wins with a German suplex.
So she's betrayed him.
So she's the Cruiserweight champion. Evan Courageous officially becomes the worst WCW Cruiserweight champion of all time.
Well, what they probably didn't think about was now she's going to have to defend that title. So who's next there?
I guess we'll find out. Hopefully we get to see it on pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Well, Mean Gene Okerlund interviews Screaming Norman Smiley. Okerlund says he's afraid of Ming. Smiley says, no, I'm just cautious. And then he gets scared when some producer is doing something in the back. And then when Smiley thinks the camera's off, he asks Okerlund if he soiled himself. And Gene says, yeah, you did.
Norman.
Smiley was also dressed like a football player.
Yes. Full pads.
And then we have Ming versus Screamin' Norman Smiley for the hardcore title. Smiley came out with a dumpster full of weapons. We see a Surge display. That's cool. I think we saw one on a WrestleMania.
Probably.
Either way, Smiley wisely starts tossing weapons at Ming, who then tosses them back at Smiley. Then Ming goes to the floor, beats the shit out of Smiley all the way to the back. Smiley screamed. They fight through catering. Ming slams Smiley through a table, and then he throws a cinder block at him. Like, God damn. It's just a hardcore title. Fuck. I would have given it to him. Smiley sprays Ming with a fire extinguisher and just runs away. Then Fit Finlay shows up for some reason and starts fighting with Ming. Then Brian Knobbs shows up to do the same. Ming kicks the shit out of both of them until Finlay knocks Ming out with a lead pipe. That was the only thing that could fucking stop Ming. Ming was like a monster. That's how I want my fucking Samoans, by the way.
he really did put up a fight for quite a while with those two.
He beat the shit out of
And he
him.
was,
And the way he was chasing Smiley through catering, just like knocking over the tables and shit.
yeah, they were hitting him with stuff, and he was basically not impacted by it. But yeah, finally they got him with the lead pipe.
Yeah.
But it was a handicap match, and they had weapons, and it was still in his favor for quite a while.
Sure was. So
Like, oh, there's two guys with weapons. The odds are finally even.
well, then Finley and Knobs just decide to run away. So Smiley steals the pin and he runs away. Then referee Nick Patrick checks on Ming, who then wakes up and puts Nick Patrick in the Tongan death grip.
Yeah, it's kind of funny there. So Ming is knocked out, and then Smiley comes to, doesn't really know what happened because he was like buried under a table. And he just sees Ming laying there, and he, like, as soft as he can, pins him as to not to disturb the sleeping giant. And then he, gets the pin and runs off. And then, as you saw, Ming came back alive and got Nick Patrick, so that's why Smiley did it such a soft cover.
Well, then they cut to some backstage bullshit without any concern for Nick Patrick. Like, we don't know if Ming's killed him or what. But some delivery guy is knocking on a door. Turns out to be David Flair's dressing room. The guy delivered a gold crowbar. I also noticed that David is girly giggling.
Yeah. He's off his rocker at this point.
Okay.
He's completely gone and just a psycho. Now, they didn't really touch on who gave him that. Not that I caught.
I bet I know who.
Who?
Well, we'll get to it.
Okay.
Then it cuts to the locker room. Dr. Death is taping up. Oklahoma says his microphone's on so he can call Dr. Death's match. And Dr. Death just says, Boomer Sooner! Then Oklahoma is kidnapped by Vampiro's ICP wannabes.
Which was weird. The fact that, so yeah, they're in the dressing room. He walks out of the dressing room and then he gets kidnapped. And Dr. Death, for some reason, didn't hear any of this commotion going on right outside the door.
Too busy screaming Boomer Sooner than making weird faces.
I guess.
Well, then we have the Revolution and Hacksaw Jim Duggan hype video. Revolution say they are a sovereign nation, and I guess, yeah, Hacksaw, who's a janitor now, came out to get his ass kicked. And then Vince Russo is talking to Hacksaw, says Americans just don't care about you, Hacksaw. They don't care if you're dead or alive. And Hacksaw says, that's not true. I have faith in my country. So then Mike Tenay interviews him. Nothing important is said. And he is facing the Revolution with 3 mystery partners to determine who is going to be the janitor from now on.
Yes. I guess part of the stipulation is he has to denounce his country if he loses.
Yes. Should the Revolution win, Hacksaw has to denounce the USA. So that brings us to the Revolution, and this is Perry Saturn, Dean Malenko, and Asia who's wrestling. Shane Douglas is out there with an injured arm, but he's not wrestling.
Nope, not involved whatsoever
in the match at all. In fact, he goes on commentary. And they are facing Hacksaw Jim Duggan and, again, 3 mystery partners. So Duggan comes out, he gets a USA chant going, and announces that his partners are none other than the Varsity Club and Rick Steiner. And then Duggan tries to win the match all by himself, ends up getting overwhelmed. And then the Revolution triple team him, and then all hell breaks loose when Asia gets involved. And then Sullivan goes out of his way to kick her ass and hits her with a tree of woe. Then the Varsity Club and Rick Steiner all turn on Hacksaw for some reason. And it's not to like team with the Revolution because they still kick their ass.
Yeah.
So they just beat up Hacksaw. Then Shane Douglas, who again has been on commentary the entire match, runs in and steals the pin. Hacksaw now has to denounce the United States the next evening on Monday Night Raw.
Yep. It didn't make any sense.
We'll get used to saying that shit.
Yeah. I do like how, though, it seems like with all the women who are just mixing it up with the men here, they're not taking it easy on them. Medusa, she had a real match. They were jumping Asia. So I do like that little touch. Couldn't do that today, of course.
We have Mean Gene Okerlund interviewing Vampiro's Timu ICP, and they have Oklahoma in a shark cage. And if Vampiro beats Dr. Death, he gets 5 minutes with Oklahoma. So they're going to make sure that happens by locking him up. So we have Vampiro versus Dr. Death. And Williams just kicks Vampiro's ass. And then he kicks the shit out of Timu ICP. And then he beats the shit out of Vampiro some more. The ref tries to stop Williams. Williams yanks the ref to the mat by his hair and then disqualifies himself. And he's escorted away by security. He's shaking shit as he leaves.
Yes. Didn't quite make sense there.
No. Well, it made sense that Williams would not lose.
I guess what I'm saying is what happens next doesn't make sense.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, Vampiro now gets 5 minutes alone with Oklahoma. And Oklahoma proceeds to kick Vampiro's ass. And his fake ICP henchman had to step in and help. So Vampiro wins the 5-on-1 match with it after a nail in the coffin.
Yes. They all jumped him with no disqualification. And that's what I'm saying didn't make sense. The fact that it was 5-on-1 and the ref was just letting it go, but he disqualified Dr. Death. So there was disqualifications, but
yeah,
for this there wasn't. I also did like the little touch of Oklahoma having the microphone on while he was
I like that too.
He was like,
great.
I'm gonna show you the Oklahoma stomp, and then he did it. He's like, yeah. And the little as he's kicking.
Yeah, that was the only like saving grace of the whole thing. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, and as he was in the shark cage, so Dr. Death, he beat up Vampiro. He got the disqualification, so they're going to start the next match. And Oklahoma is begging to get out of the cage while Vampiro's still unconscious, pretty much. And they took so long that Vampiro had enough time to recover. So, but it was funny. He was just like, let me out. But yeah, they just took so long. And then Vampiro got his wits back about him.
But he still needed his friends to beat him.
Yeah, 5-on-1.
Well, then we go to the back again. Mr. Perfect's not retired anymore. And he's talking to Vince Russo. And he asks him if there's any more instructions. The Suits and Virgil are there as well. And so is La Parka for some reason.
Who's sitting in the back of a chair. Was he standing?
I thought he was standing on the chair.
Okay, maybe he was. Standing on the chair with his arms crossed like a vampire.
Yes. Russo has no idea what the fuck Mr. Perfect is talking about. Perfect reminds Russo, and Russo's like, oh, yeah, well, I had something more important on my mind, so just go out there and do whatever you're going to do. And it turns out that Mr. Perfect and the Suits are wrestling Harlem Heat and Midnight. So Mr. Perfect should probably stay retired. But Mike Tenay interviews Harlem Heat. There's dissension between Harlem Heat again. Stevie Ray is pissed that Booker T is letting the Skirt wrestle with him. He says he's not watching Booker T's back tonight. Skirt tried to say something, but Stevie Ray put his hand in her face. Men are talking. So you have Mr. Perfect in the Suits versus Harlem Heat in the Skirt. And Perfect's retirement lasted less time than Nash's. He's also wearing the same singlet. So Mr. Perfect is the biggest nonconformist in wrestling.
Yeah, because he's supposed to be in the group now. I don't know what their group name is.
What was it? Creative Control.
No, those are the guys in the suits.
I thought the whole thing was Creative Control.
No, it's just the two suit guys.
Oh.
Yeah, so Russo's the power that be. The suit guys are Creative Control. So I don't know what the whole group name is. I guess they don't really have one.
Mm. Booker T comes out alone, and the Skirt has a stupid entrance.
That includes the lights going out.
Yes. And she just magically appears.
Yes.
But she's not supernatural at all. She's not even dressed up like a superhero. So we get another forgettable match that Mr. Perfect is involved in. Booker and the chick wrestled a handicap match. Stevie Ray eventually came out, and Booker T told him to go away. And then Mr. Perfect used a pair of knucks of some kind to knock Booker out, and he got the win. Stevie Ray left in disgust. Fuck y'all.
Yeah, they told him, I don't want your help. So yeah, Harlem Heat is back in turmoil.
Well, if I remember correctly, this leads to Booker becoming GI Bro, so probably should have listened to Stevie there, Booker.
Oh, I'm not familiar with this Booker. Probably
GI
don't.
Bro.
Yeah.
Oh man, you're in for a treat. Misfits in Action, Hugh Morris, Major Guns. It was some bitch with tits. I think maybe Hoovy or Ray.
Mm.
But yeah, Booker was the leader. He was GI Bro.
Okay. Should be something.
Yeah. He kind of reminded me of Carl Weathers and Predator. So we have a Goldust and Jeff Jarrett hype video. Goldust debuted as 7 and buries the gimmick as soon as he opened his mouth. And I remember watching that live, and it was great. I was very confused as well. But
yeah, his face was painted all white, like a knockoff Undertaker type thing.
he looked like a mix between the Undertaker and Sting.
Yeah.
But yeah, his name was 7. He levitated to the ring, and then he shat on the gimmick as soon as he got there. He's like, yeah, my name is 7, by the way. I think that's when he said he's the American Nightmare now. I can't remember.
I don't remember that, but yeah, I do remember the whole. You see the stupid shit they got me?
Yeah. So like, no, I'm Dustin Runnels or Dustin Rhodes. But yeah, he ends up saying that he's going to make the powers that be a living hell. And then Jarrett is complaining about Goldust ruining his life and wants to end his career at Starrcade at a bunkhouse brawl. And Goldust is interviewed by Mike Tenay. He says as soon as he got here, he realized his dad was fired. And you'd think that's something they'd say before he joined the promotion. At Sunday dinner, like, I got fired from WCW, baby.
Or at least on the carpool to work.
So Goldust says Jarrett is going to bite the dust. And then Jarrett pops into frame and they start fighting. So this is our Goldust versus Jeff Jarrett bunkhouse brawl. And it's just another stupid hardcore match. They started in the back and then they fought their way to the ring. So that's good. There was a wheelbarrow full of weapons. Goldust threw a white powder in Jarrett's eye, then attacked the ref for no reason, duct taped him to the corner. Mr. Perfect then comes out and it takes 10 years to free the ref. Goldust ends up kicking both Jarrett and Mr. Perfect in the balls with the corner nut kick that he does. And Goldust and Jarrett fight back up to the entrance ramp again. Perfect soon joins. Goldust kicks Perfect's ass near a ladder that's supposed to be used for the Chris Benoit match later. Jarrett climbs the ladder with a guitar, jumps off, and nails Goldust in the head, wins the match. Goldust looked like a bum. He was all crawling and shit.
Yeah, definitely not like his Piper match.
I remember his WCW run being very forgetful.
I don't know if it was early WCW, but him and the Cowboy stuff, I did like him then, but no.
He told good stories. He had good aesthetic. He did the American Nightmare thing before Cody did. So I thought that was cool because, fuck Dusty Rhodes, my father, bastard. I want to ruin his legacy. Baby. And then, yeah, when he came out as 7, he's like, fuck this shit. So, like, he always had the compelling stuff to say, and he always got me interested in what he was doing. But when he got to nut cutting time, always underwhelmed.
Yeah, typical.
And it's not him. He has good matches. I've seen it.
Said he loses all the time.
Yeah, there's that. Well, then we get a glimpse of David Flair in a dark room. He still has the gold crowbar. And yeah, he's girly giggling because he's supposed to be crazy. He also has a ripped up stuffed animal that he ever so gingerly just whacks with the crowbar. And then we get a David Flair DDP hype video. Then Mean Gene Okerlund interviews DDP. He's going to kick David Flair's ass for assaulting DDP with a crowbar and stalking his wife. Yeah, Paige really needs to lose that catchphrase that he has.
What, bada bing, bada boom, bada bang?
I hate it. Talking about defending his wife's honor, and then he throws that in there like it's normal conversation. Shut the fuck up. So we have Diamond Dallas Page versus David Flair. Crowbar on a pole match. DDP makes his entrance. Flair sneaks up on DDP with a crowbar, then stands in the middle of the ring, occasionally raising his arms for no reason. And he gave him soft taps in the side. You're not going to really hit him with a crowbar, but either don't use it or find a better way to use it. Miss Elizabeth, she
Yeah,
fucking swung that.
take some notes from Miss Elizabeth, as we will find out soon.
Meanwhile, the crowbar is now dangling behind him, but Flair makes no attempt to get it. So yeah, he's just standing in the ring, raising his arms. Then he looked at the crowbar once, but yeah, he's so unnatural looking. The ref then attempts to call the match off because DDP's too injured to compete after being lightly tapped by the crowbar. But DDP pulls himself in the ring and the match officially starts. And then DDP immediately goes for a pin attempt in this crowbar on a pole match. Then they wrestle with lots of pin attempts. David belligerently yells 3 every time DDP kicks out. Neither one of them have made any attempt to get this crowbar. Except finally, David does go for it and then gets hit with a diamond cutter. And DDP wins via pinfall without ever touching the fucking crowbar.
Yep. Never went for it. Never used it.
But after the match, DDP hits a second diamond cutter off the top rope. Then he goes to hit David Flair in the dick with the crowbar. And some chick comes out and shields Flair. And I believe that's Daphne.
Yes, that is.
That, I believe, is who would have delivered the crowbar.
Okay. Totally forgot about her coming out when I said that.
At least it was short.
Yeah. They tried to put Flair over as a
crazy guy.
Wrestler. Well, he's doing wrestling moves. Oh, he's got the figure 4.
There's just something about him.
Well, this gimmick isn't the best situation for him.
No.
Neither was the Golden Boy. So let's just keep going down the road and see what else we got.
I did kind of enjoy when he sucked so bad he lucked into victories.
Yeah, that was a good one.
And then they made it seem like he was so awesome when he objectively sucked.
Yeah, he was getting wins with no offensive moves.
So we have a Lex Luger Sting hype video. Vince Russo books Ming versus Miss Elizabeth. Luger's okay with that. And Miss Elizabeth runs to Sting for help. But I guess that goes nowhere because Miss Elizabeth is delivered to Ming in a cage. Probably the same cage Oklahoma was in. Then she was forced to wrestle in mud. Luger reveals that he holds Miss Elizabeth's contract and can basically make her do anything he wants. You know, like all standard contracts, I guess.
Yeah, she's his property.
And Sting eventually comes to Miss Elizabeth's defense. Now, if Sting beats Lex Luger, the contract he has with Miss Elizabeth is null and void. So we have Lex Luger versus Sting for Miss Elizabeth's contract. Before the match, Sting comes out with Miss Elizabeth and he goes, "Hey, did you bring your mace?" She's like, "Yeah, I did." He goes, "That's good, but I got some other mace for you." He gives her this big can of mace. Go, make sure you leave your other mace behind. So, of course, nothing will come of that, I'm sure. So Luger kicks Sting's ass until Sting decides to no-sell. And Miss Elizabeth tries to use the mace on Sting. But it was really silly string. But unfortunately, Sting didn't count on Miss Elizabeth using the bat he handed her before the match.
That mace would have worked out a lot better for him.
So he puts Luger in a sharpshooter, and Miss Elizabeth like comes in the ring with the bat, and Sting's like, "Hey, you better put that down." So she puts it down, and he turns his back on her and puts Luger in the sharpshooter again, and she just whacks him right with the bat, right in the fucking face. I think she actually hit him in the shoulder, but still, you can hear the whack and everything.
I thought she got him right on the chin. I was like, "Oh shit!"
But she got him good.
Yes.
And that immediately causes a DQ. So after the match, and this sadistic bitch grabs a chair. She puts the chair over Sting's wrist so Luger can Pillmanize it. And he stomps on it. He tells her to get the bat. He just starts fucking just hammering Sting's arm with the fucking bat. But Sting was unconscious and gave absolutely no reaction.
Yes, that bat shot was enough for him.
And that is selling, by the way.
Yeah, he got his arm Pillmanized and then, repeatedly hit with a bat. And he did nothing because he was out cold.
Yeah. And then he is literally carried to the back by a whole bunch of officials.
No stretcher, by the way, just carried.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. They stretcher somebody else out? I don't think so.
They did it. No.
Huh. Yeah, that's weird. So we have a Kevin Nash Psycho Sid hype video. They're fighting over who has the best power bomb. Nash said he's going to power bomb Sid straight to hell.
And Sid from earlier said he's going to power bomb Nash to the Earth's core.
So we have Psycho Sid versus Kevin Nash. Power bomb match. Sid kicks Nash's ass. They made pin attempts here too in this fucking power bomb match. Like, they don't think about these things. So Sid tried to get a power bomb chant going, and not a single person joined in. That was funny. And then Sid threw Nash into the ref, sandwiching him in the corner. And then he hits Nash with the power bomb, but of course the ref is out. Then Jeff Jarrett comes out and nails Sid with a guitar. Nash tries to power bomb Sid, but his back's too fucked up from Sid's power bomb. Then Nash picks up the ref, says, "Hey, I power bombed him." Ref says, "Oh, good enough for me," declares Nash the winner. And then Sid leaves with zero protest, like a bitch.
Well, it's already over at that point.
You telling me he still wanted to fight Goldberg after that one match they had?
After getting murdered?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was dumb. And then Mike Tenay interviews Chris Benoit. And Tenay says, "You issued your open challenge earlier. It's match time. Do you know who your opponent's going to be?" Chris Benoit says, "Nope," then repeats what he said earlier. Almost word for word.
Yep, down to the silent but violent part.
His delivery gets me. "It's the prestige of the U.S. title." So Chris Benoit versus a mystery opponent. A ladder match for the U.S. heavyweight title. And Jeff Jarrett ends up answering the challenge because he's already kicked one ass tonight. He says, "Crippler my ass. You're going to be the one crippled and handicapped." Benoit started intense, kicked Jarrett's ass, and hit an early superplex. And then he goes for the ladder. Jarrett catches him with a baseball slide, gains control. Benoit's busted open. And then Jarrett props the ladder in the corner, throws Benoit on it. One of his legs is through the rung of the ladder. And Jarrett basically does a Russian leg sweep to Benoit. I'm surprised his leg didn't break or something. Then each of them made attempts to climb for the belt, only to get the ladder pulled out from under them. Jarrett did a missile dropkick from the top rope to knock the ladder out from under Benoit. And then Benoit dropkicks the ladder onto Jarrett, fucking him up. And then he does a diving headbutt. He hangs onto the belt for support. So he can do a diving headbutt.
It was funny, yeah. He had to move the belt out of the way so he can get his dive on. He's on top of the ladder, belt in hand, to win the match. But instead he chose to do the dive.
And then Benoit climbs back up and got the belt. He's officially the U.S. title holder. But I think it was good. They had that spot where they both climbed up to the top of the ladder and they fought over it. And I was like, yeah, it's really exciting now. If they didn't have that, I don't think that would have been a good ladder match.
Yeah. This is your moment to create the drama.
Actually, I thought it was a pretty good match. It's probably the match of the night, if I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. The bar's not very high, but...
No, not at all.
I was like, it's like Russo doesn't care about the wrestling part of it. He's
no.
So much more about the story or whatever. He's so much more about it being a show.
If you hear him talking about his TNA days, he's like, I don't even want to be involved in the wrestling. I just do the stories.
Don't talk to me about that wrestling crap. It's like the Varsity Blues. They're doing too much learning in them schools.
That was Friday Night Lights.
Oh, same thing.
Then we have, what do we have? A Bret Hart Goldberg hype video. Hart beat Benoit for the vacant world title. Then he says he's going to be the best WCW champion ever. And he says it'll be an honor to face Bill Goldberg at Starrcade. Somehow, Hart and Goldberg become a tag team, and they end up winning the tag titles. The Outsiders challenge Hart and Goldberg for the belts, but they attack Hart just before the match. Naturally, Goldberg takes them both on at once until Hart comes limping out and ends up losing the titles for him. Then Bret guarantees he'll win. Goldberg says, no, you won't. And then Mike Tenay interviews Hart. Bret says he's going to prove these the best there is, best there was, best there ever will be, whether Bill Goldberg likes it or not. That leads us to Bret Hart versus Goldberg. No disqualification. for the WCW World Heavyweight Championship. The ref brings Goldberg and Hart in to the middle of the ring to go over the rules. It just seems silly.
Like a boxing match.
Yeah.
We saw Michael Buffer for the first time in how long?
Yeah, it has been a while. I feel like they're still wasting him. He doesn't say the weird shit that he used to say.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So Goldberg just plays world's strongest man while Brett plays best wrestler in the world. Goldberg did his leg submission. Brett tried to turn it into a sharpshooter, and Goldberg just powered out of it. They go to the floor, fight, and the ref decides to get in the way, and he's taken out by Goldberg. Second ref comes out. They go back in the ring. Goldberg takes him out too. Hart tries to do the ring post figure four, and then a third ref comes out. Hart starts working on Goldberg's leg, softening him up for the sharpshooter, and Goldberg actually sells. He's screaming, writhing in pain. I couldn't believe it. Usually he just does that like weird head shake thing. Arr.
Or some kind of laugh, yeah.
Hart ends up knocking out the third referee, and Goldberg delivers the infamous concussion kick and hits Hart with a spear. Then Roddy Piper comes out, as slow as he possibly can, to be the fourth ref. Hart does a leg chop to Goldberg as Piper is slowly getting in the ring. Locks in the sharpshooter. Piper doesn't even look. He just casually calls for the bell like he's finger fucking his sister. And then he takes the title and slowly walks back the way he came. And Goldberg's pissed. Hart's confused. Chases after Piper, who just hands him the title back. And that's how the pay-per-view ends, in confusion.
Yeah, booking for that next show.
Now, I will say, and far be it from me to question Brett, but either he's a badass or that kick wasn't worth bitching about for 20 years, because he seemed just fine to me.
I think he kept going. But I do also agree, I actually saw it on Twitter, that very kick from the clip. I was like, oh, wait, that's the moment. I was like, wait, was that the moment? I didn't believe that was the moment because, yes, the match, continued and they did their planned finish, whatever it happened to be.
They did that shit with Piper too. Like he ran out. He seemed fine. He didn't even stagger. I don't know.
Yeah. But, back in the day, they used to just go through concussions.
I agree, but they would still look kind of fucked up.
I almost thought that some of it was selling, but this was the moment.
And he kind of looked like he got his hand up.
He did get it up a little bit, but I guess
I believe he got kicked in the head. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he's lying.
To me, I thought more of the problem was when he went for the figure four, because he just like whacked his head on the floor because, Goldberg didn't get the figure four right on the post.
Yeah.
And he just like whacked the back of his head. And then that kick tipped the last domino over. Definitely didn't look malicious or on purpose.
Oh, no. It was the kick he always does.
Yeah, it just looked like a routine, and it just slipped through like it shouldn't have. And there you go. Career over, unfortunately.
Yeah. And unfortunately, Roddy Piper had to get involved in all that ref bullshit because this was probably one of the best Goldberg matches I've seen.
Yeah, he was selling and everything.
But yeah, that was Starrcade. I will say I enjoyed the fact that every match was pretty short.
Yeah, this felt better paced than what we've been getting.
We get those 20 to 30 minute mat classics that aren't really classics.
Yeah, they still had their things going on, but there wasn't get the pin. Oh, let's go backstage now. So we can get our next group meeting thing that's happening. It seems like they're slowing down on that too. Or they just didn't have as big as presence, even though Jared wrestled twice.
Our next pay-per-view for WCW is Sold Out 2000. We're in Cincinnati, Ohio. Our main event will be Chris Benoit versus Psycho Sid. Our special guest referee will be Arn Anderson. And as for the vacant World Heavyweight title. Again.
Yes, because Bret Hart got concussed.
Well, before Sold Out in 2000, we have ECW Guilty as Charged 1999. This is the inaugural Guilty as Charged pay-per-view. And it took place at the Millennium Theater in Kissimmee, Florida. 7 professional wrestling matches took place. The main event was a singles match between champion Shane Douglas and challenger Taz. for the ECW World Heavyweight Championship. Douglas is walking in with a 406-day title reign. It's the longest in the title's history. Other notable matches on the card were Just Incredible versus Tommy Dreamer, Stairway to Hell match. We have Rob Van Dam versus Lance Storm for the ECW World Television title. Then we have Psycho Sid versus John Cronus.
Oh, more Sid.
More Sid. He's been everywhere too.